Hello, hello, everyone. Pop culture creator here. At last, we are finally back with another stream of Gilligan's Island. We're going to cover two episodes from season three. So we're on the very first two, which are Up at Bat and Gilligan versus Gilligan. I hope you guys are all doing well. Um, I missed having the Gilligan stream, so it's so good to be back. We're going to do our best to try to finish up season three. And I have promised that I'll be showing back behind the scenes footage and bios of the stars of the show, which I will do. I promise I have not forgotten. But first, I want to say hello to my fellow panelists, Gorilla's Random Thoughts. How are you doing tonight, Gorilla?
Doing good. I got my heater on, pointing right at me. I'm next to the vent here. Got a nice cozy blanket, hot chocolate. We're gonna be good. There's absolutely no falling asleep tonight.
Oh, okay, I'm glad to hear that. So you're drinking hot chocolate, and I'm drinking cold milk, chocolate milk.
I don't even know what happened yesterday because I was actually kind of into the movies, really into the movie. And that it's just I don't know how I went out.
But it's okay. You work, and these streams are late for you. Like right now, it's already 9 o'clock, so
Yeah. Well, I
I feel
agreed
bad
to it.
about
So
that. Yeah, I know, but I wish these were earlier, so it wasn't so rough on you. I also want to say hello to those that are in the chat. It looks like the first one here is Suzanne Eckstein. Hello, Suzanne. Good to see you. Oh yes, been looking forward to this stream. So have I. And Lemon Pie says, "Hey, hey, hello, Lemon Pie."
hey, Scurvy, and hey, Suzanne.
Yep, Lemon Pie. Hiya, says Suzanne. And Suzanne says, "Hello, Gorilla. I'm going to choose between a white wine or an IPA beer shortly." I wish I could say that. Oh, so
Beer.
good.
The answer is always beer.
I know wine for me is bitter and it makes me puke. So yeah, if I had to choose between the two, it would probably be beer as well. So good choice, lemon pie. I am jealous. I wish I could do that. I mean, I like chocolate milk, but I had to. I was at the store today. I had to walk to the store. And it's like 8 blocks away, and I actually passed the beer aisle. I thought about it. I thought, oh, it'd be nice to have some beer, but I've got to carry it 8 blocks. So I had to try to decide. So I just got a quart of chocolate milk. Gap After Dark says, "Hey, Pops, Gorillas, Lemon Pie." Suzanne, hello, Gap. Good to see you there. Hello, all, says Gap. Gap Hella. Hello, says Suzanne. Suzanne says,
Yeah.
check out Gap's channel. She drops a link. Thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
Suzanne.
Hey, Gap.
Lemon Pie says, been looking forward to this. Always reminds me of Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith. I'm trying to remember now.
That's third
The
movie,
prequels.
third in the prequels.
Okay. Thank you. But hey, Gap says Lemon Pie. And Lemon Pie says, why beer, Gorilla? Does wine seem too super villain?
Well, if you want to be a whiner, be my guest.
A whiner, a wino. And Gap After Dark says, thanks, Suzanne, for dropping this link here, I guess. No, that's Gorilla's Random Thoughts link. But thank you for that, Suzanne. I don't know what's going on with my stream elements. I haven't seen it yet. I'm hoping it starts soon. But we'll get through this relatively quickly tonight. We have two episodes, of course. And hopefully we can entertain you and you'll have a good time. And we'll see what we learn. The first one, of course, is Up at Bat. The episode premiered on Monday, September 12th, 1966. After Bat bites Gilligan in the neck in a cave, he is convinced that he will become a vampire and moves away to save his fellow castaways. So that's the introduction. And let me get that queued up, and then we'll get started. All right, so we have our wonderful introduction here, and we get our heroes. Of course, encounter that nasty storm.
Sit right back here. Yeah.
Immediately, my player starts having problems. It was so good last night. I had no issues whatsoever.
Oh, is it freezing up again?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with my computer because I haven't done anything different than I did last night. Oh, we need our subtitles, don't we? There we go. That's better. Let me go back here a little bit. There we go. So we have Gilligan and Skipper carrying some coconut bags of coconuts, and they're both tired. Their backs are sore. Gilligan, excuse me, Skipper sets down his bag, and then Gilligan drops his bag. But unfortunately, when he does, some coconuts roll into this
Oh,
mysterious being.
how many unexplored caves are there? Because I'm sure we've seen this entrance before too.
Yeah, well, I wonder, have we seen the same entrance, or I wonder, do they change it up every now and then so it looks a little different? I'm not
Well,
really
we've
sure.
seen so many episodes with caves, but I swear we've seen this entrance before, and it's like how many? There can be only be so many caves in the in, on the damn island. How many? This would be like the eighth cave we found.
I think so, possibly. Because Gilligan goes in there to grab the coconut that rolled in there, and Skipper yells behind him, "Watch out! That cave is unexplored." And then here we don't see what happens, but we can hear it because basically Gilligan screams. There he is. Gilligan, don't go in there. I'll get it, Skipper. Go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, I just they had two dripping marks on his neck. I like how most places would just put two quick red dots on there and get about back on the set, but they made an effort to make it look like a small trickles on each side.
Yeah, it made it look fresher, like it just happened.
Yeah.
So here's where he hears Gilligan yelling, "Skipper, Skipper, help! It's after me!" And Gilligan comes rushing out, and this is what Gorilla was talking about. He's got two bites on his neck. And he says he was bit by a bat. And of course, immediately Skipper says, "Oh, I saw one of those in Mexico. A vampire bat." And they run to the professor, panicking, of course. And
Yeah.
Gilligan telling him what happened. Come on.
I wonder why the skipper believes all this crap, but you know, you'd think he'd be about as level headed as the professor.
Well, they've established before that Skipper's a little superstitious sometimes. Remember about the natives and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of with Skipper, I guess it's kind of like on a sliding scale.
Yeah, because you think he'd be a little bit more level headed, especially with being Gilligan.
Maybe they didn't want to repeat another episode where Gilligan's crying wolf and everybody's telling him you don't know what you're talking about. So maybe they did this to give him a little more credibility. And of course, the professor says, "All right, Gilligan, calm yourself." And he's asking him, tell him what happened, and of course Gilligan's acting like the bat and telling them that it would happen. He got bit, and Professor says, of course he's not going to turn into a. They think he's going to turn into a vampire, and the Professor says, of course not. And he's saying the bats are nothing but a nuisance. And he says, no, I don't want you or the skipper going back to that cave. And then we cut to the. Go
it's
ahead.
kind of funny you did not ask like what kind of bat was it, or not
Well,
what kind.
I guess.
Why did you ask what it looked like?
Well, I mean, bats. I guess, but I would assume two things. If he's in the cave, it probably happened so fast he wouldn't see the bat. And bats look very similar. I don't know if Gilligan would be able to explain the difference of what it looks like whether it's a fruit bat or what kind. I don't know.
Yeah, but the skipper would have been able to maybe.
Possibly, it did show. I know we're showing slides, to everybody. We can't show everything, but after Gilligan got bit, it did show a bat fly out of the cave. But I don't think we caught that on the slides here. Of course, if I show too much, I'll get copyright stricken. I got another one of those for Lost in Space the other night.
Oh, did you fight it?
Fight it and won. It was for the music at the beginning. So I don't know what it is. It's like the person that wrote that music is after me. But they file a complaint. I dispute it. I win. That's twice in a row now. The same person, the same music.
Huh.
All right. So yeah, the girls here, Ginger's doing her makeup, but she realizes that all the backing on the mirror has worn off. And Marianne asks her why she's using it when she says, "Well, you don't need a beard. You don't need a mirror when you're still beautiful," says Ginger. And of course, as usual, they're always saying, "Don't tell anybody. You don't want to panic the girls."
All right, can we catch up on chat real quick?
Good idea. Thank you, Gorilla.
All right, Scurvy says whiner or wine who? And Suzanne says, always a great time with you boys. Yeah,
Well, I'm glad you're here, Suzanne.
yeah. But we're missing PvP. Yeah, he has to work on Wednesdays.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, PvP. Maybe he's eating Pleasant Valley pancakes. Nah, he's drinking his eggnog and relaxing. And Daniel says, Gilligan versus Gilligan. I never knew clones existed in the time period of Gilligan's Island. It wasn't a clone, Daniel.
Right,
We'll
they'll
see it when we
explain.
get.
Yeah, we'll see when we get there. They'll explain that.
Scurvy says, I think I shall honor Gorilla's choice and go with beer since I had wine last night. And
Oh, good idea.
Daniel, hello. Hi, Daniel. Scurvy, you are everywhere. Yeah, he is. And Scurvy says, Suzanne, well, I said hi a few places, but my focus shall be here. You get around yourself, Suzanne, lol. All right, all that. All right, so we're all caught up.
All right, here we go. So, Skipper tells Gilligan, "Don't tell anybody. We don't want them to panic, of course, as they usually do." And here we have Ginger again working on her makeup. Gilligan comes in and says hello to them. And of course, the first thing he did, Gilligan's always, as we all know, bad at keeping a secret. So he's holding his neck, and they're wondering why. And he says that he was bit by a bat, but they're downplaying it because they know it's no big deal. Marianne tells them, "Oh, it's nonsense. That's not bad." So what happened was the professor sent Gilligan to the girls' huts so they could put some ointment on it. And Marianne told him it's nothing. It's not that bad. And he says, "Oh yeah, well something bit me." "Never mind how it happened. It still needs treatment," says Ginger. Or Marianne. "Now you sit down right there," she says. And he
Well,
gasps. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, just because you're bitten doesn't that a small bite doesn't mean it's not bad. You don't know what the heck's in the things that bite you. You know, it could be malaria, it could be rabies, it could.
Well,
It could be
that's
all
what I was
kinds
gonna.
of things.
That's what I was gonna say. In real life, actually, I'd be worried more about rabies and other things than I would anything else.
Yeah. And hey, Jim, welcome.
Hello, Jim. Good to see you. So Gilligan picks up Ginger's worn-out mirror, and there, of course, as they established, there's no background to it. So Gilligan gasps and thinks that he doesn't have a reflection. "I don't have a reflection," he says. Now he starts to ask Skipper about later that evening, but he has no reflection of himself. "I couldn't see myself, so I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire," he says. And of course, Skipper says, "We stop worrying about that."
Yeah, well, the mirror, you could see. I thought mirror. the mirrors there had like something in the middle of it, like a piece of wood or cardboard or something.
Well, it's not in the middle, but it's in the back. There's like a. Well, no, I guess it depends on the mirror. But they do usually have some sort of metal, wooden backing, whatever. Then it has the mirror, the elements of the mirror, which do tend to wear off, and then the glass, which is on the face. I've seen mirrors that were partially faded before when they were very old that they get scratched up in the back.
Yeah, but they don't. But you wouldn't be able to see through it like Gilligan was able to. Oh well, that's all
Probably
part of the
not.
illusion.
Yeah. And of course, Gibber says, "Will you stop worrying about that stuff and get some sleep?" And of course, Gilligan's going on and on about the bat. And of course, Skipper's telling him, "Don't you worry. There's nothing to be worried about." And we have Skipper covering his neck with a scarf very tightly. And Skipper says, "Well, I'm cold." Gilligan says, "Well, it must be 90 to 110 in here."
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, you could tell. You should have just said. You should have just said, "Covering my bases, boy. Covering my bases."
True. There's something else I noticed with these episodes in season 3. I want to point out. This is a good point. A good point to do it. Gilligan's looking older, considerably, compared to the first 2 seasons. You can actually tell. You can see the bags under his eyes, the wrinkles. I never noticed till I got a good look in high definition, but yeah, you can tell Gilligan's older. I'd almost say it looks like he. I mean, even though it's only been a year since last season, I'd say it looks like he looks considerably older. I don't know why, or if it's just me.
Well, they're stuck on an island for 15 years, so maybe they're jumping times ahead. So they're either putting makeup on him or not putting makeup on him to show like the aging they're aging because they've been on the island for so long.
Well, it's possible, but everyone else looks the same, in my opinion. It seems to be just Gilligan. Skipper looks the same. Marianne, Ginger, Professor, all of them.
Mm.
But Skipper, even when I met Alan Hale in the 80s when I was in the Air Force, he looked just like this. So he aged well, so I give him credit for that. And Gilligan says it's 90 to 110, and he says, "Well, I'm getting a draft from my ears." He says, "Oh sure, drafty ears. I'm going to turn into a bat and bite everybody." He keeps talking to himself and word. And Skipper says, "Gilligan, I just thought I have a wonderful idea." He says, I'll get a string and get my knife. I'm going to tie this one end of the string to your foot, and then when you get up in the night, it'll wake him up." So he's tying one end to Gilligan's foot and one end to his own foot, and then that way it'll wake him up before he leaves the hut. Because Gilligan's afraid he's going to turn it into a bat at night. I don't know why, but they said during the full moon, which anybody who knows the lore knows that a full moon has nothing to do with vampires. That's werewolf. Stop worrying, get some sleep. And here we have Gilligan waking up in the middle of the night, of course, conveniently. But the first thing he does is he takes the string off of his foot and wraps the blanket around his shoulders, like you see here.
Yeah, I will say that that blanket was a nice touch. The blanket was a very good, nice touch.
True.
To wear like a cape and stuff.
Yes, and of course I've mentioned the name before, but we're going to see a lot of references to Bela Lugosi, famous vampire of Universal. He's the one that started with the cape, putting it around his shoulders like that and hiding his face and all that. That was all Bela Lugosi. And then when Gilligan talks, he'll be using the somewhat Bela Lugosi Hungarian accent. And we have Mr. Howell snoring and dreaming, and of course, I love to dream in round. He's counting money, and of course, but only in round figures, so like 10, 8, 7, 6,000 or million or whatever. And here comes Gilligan into their hut.
I wonder why he went to the Howell's hut.
They're just the closest. I don't know. I know they didn't really establish Maybe it's better for humor. Maybe it would look inappropriate if he went into the girl's hut.
But he could have easily gone into the professor's hut too.
He could have went to the professor's hut, but then the professor would probably be upset and put an end to all this and telling him that he doesn't know what he's doing, and that it's all he's hallucinating and exaggerating. So I'm guessing they did this for comedic effect. And Gilligan, let's see if I can catch this. He does punch over Mrs. Howell and she does scream.
Yeah,
He falls.
that's enough to wake everybody up.
Right now, of course, Mr. Howell, Libby, whoever it is, hold him off. I'll go hide in the vault. Of course.
Yeah, because he's a coward.
Yes, he is. And he's willing to give up his wife, right? So now they realize that it's Gilligan, and she says he tried to bite my throat. And he says, Lovey, are your stones hurt? All he's worried about is her necklace.
Yeah.
He came out with me with that frightful look that you get, she says. Egad, what a frightening experience. I'll teach you to try and dine out on my wife, says Mr. Howell. And then they realize he's sleepwalking, and they shake him, and he wakes up. He says, what are you doing in my hut? Your hut? It's our hut. And she says, you tried to bite us. And he's already convinced I did it because I'm a vampire. There's no wonder drugs cure anything, she says. I can't remember exactly what they said in between that. I'm sorry, guys. We have to skip frames.
Yeah, I was just going to say, basically, they leave, and that's when Skipper goes and gets Professor here.
Right, apparently he's still awake. And then my little buddy tried to bite his Mrs. Howell in the neck, he says. I mean, you see, it's really happening, Professor. And of course, the professor tells him that Gilligan was so worried about becoming a vampire that he's hallucinating or imagining. He fell asleep, his subconscious took over. Fortunately, I know a simple cure for the problem, he says. And he says he has an anti-vampire potion. He says, oh, yes, oh, I get it. But so basically what he has, placebo.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of island plants there. That's going to act like a tranquilizer there. But, it's funny. They don't have any real way of measuring stuff, the professor with stuff like this could easily poison whoever he's trying to give stuff to.
Well, he's a botanist too, so he knows what plants are safe and which ones are dangerous. Exactly, and his psychological fears about becoming a vampire. So here he is mixing this stuff together. Doesn't look like it's going to taste very good. Skipper, go on, Gilligan, drink it down the hatch. Professor, are you sure this anti-vampire potion is going to work? And he says, yes, it is. Drink it. So Gilligan drinks it and says, hey, I feel like a new man. Imagine that. And I feel better already. Well, but come on, Skipper. He won't bite you, says the professor. So Gilligan immediately knocks out from the potion.
Yeah. I will be pissed. I will have told, let's go drink it in the hut so they wouldn't have to carry him that far.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I think he'll be just fine in the morning, Skipper. And plus, he's also doing that so he doesn't go wandering around at night. So they
I think Mrs. Howell would really appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly, right? You got to chain him to the bedpost or something. So they put Gilligan in his hammock, and he's asleep. And now Skipper, of course, completely convinced, puts the scarf back on, and then goes to sleep. And there he is. He wakes up, still has the scarf on. Gilligan. And of course, Gilligan's not there, but we have our bat.
It's funny. This is the first time they've seen a bat on the island, or what?
I think they've seen bats, but I think they're afraid. Remember, he's thinking that's Gilligan. But I think the only time that they brought it up now was I'm sure they've seen bats before, but the only time they brought it up now is because Gilligan was bit by one. So that brings it to the forefront of their attention, I'm guessing. And he says, "Oh, my poor little buddy." And of course, Ginger said, "You think I could turn into a carrier pigeon?" Why, sure, we can tie a note on his leg. Owls are
Yeah, no,
overwatching him right now, so they're keeping an eye on him.
yeah. Nobody seemed phased by it.
And when the
But
bat comes into the girl's hut,
yeah.
well,
He's
no,
got
they're
fight.
not. They don't. They don't believe about the vampire bat. He's going to turn into a vampire, but they do panic when the bat flies inside their hut, and he captures the bat with a net. And they're still thinking it's Gilligan. You tried to bite our necks. Now this is not Gilligan, he says. Is it? Well, the skipper said, "Well, I don't care what the skipper said. Only an expert can tell them apart." And that's why even if Gilligan would have tried to explain, excuse me, describe the bat, I don't think he would have done a good job unless he was an expert. If I saw a bat, I wouldn't know by looking at what kind it was. So he tells him, no, it's just a fruit bat. Here we have Gilligan in a cave, and he's got some bars on the front to keep himself in there to protect everyone else. I mean, he says, I won't be able to fly out and bite my friends. All my buddies will be safe. And Skipper runs in there looking for him, and he finds this note. Dear good pals, he says basically he's going to leave to take care so that they'll be safe. Goodbye forever. Your friend Gilligan the vampire. Why'd you do a dumb thing like that, says the skipper. And he shows the note to the rest of the castaways. Gilligan isn't rational in his present state, of course, as a professor. He left in the jungle all night. Or he'd been in the jungle all night. I suggest we organize search parties immediately, says the professor. Now we have later that evening during a full moon, like that makes any difference. And Gilligan's dreaming inside the cave, so we get another dream sequence.
Oh yeah, I wish they would have spent more time on the stream sequence than they would have on the take that Mrs. Howell thing out.
What part? Where he tried to bite her?
Yeah, I would prefer the stream sequence more. Instead, Gilligan convinced himself so he doesn't attack anybody, goes off the cave, then they do this scene and have a longer one of these.
Okay, did you recognize the set?
I'm guessing it's from one of the Dracula movies.
I'll show you what. Do you know why it's called Belfry Hall?
No.
Because there was always a joke, a term, when someone was crazy, they would say they've got bats in their belfry. So that's the reason why it's called Belfry Hall.
Okay.
I hadn't heard that term in a long time, but they used to say it. So then we have the Howells playing a rich couple looking for a room for the evening. Hurry, Lovey, let's get out of this fog and find lodgings for the night. And she says, could we find a more cheerful castle? Well, the presents will welcome us with open arms. And they open the door. We have Marianne as the servant girl, and they've got her all uglied up with makeup.
All right,
I'll
can we
speak
catch
to the
up on
internet.
that real quick?
Good idea. Thank you.
All right. So Daniel's asking how everyone's doing today. We're all doing okay up here.
Hanging in there. Yeah.
And Sue says, scurvy, yes I do, lol. And Jim said hello. We said hello to Jim already. Everybody's saying hi to each other here. Then Gap says, anti-vampire potion. He's laughing. And welcome, Taylor Swift. Welcome. We're getting the slow
Hello,
twitch.
Taylor Swift. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well.
And everybody's saying hi. We're all caught up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And give me just a moment here.
Oh, did it freeze up again?
No, I'm typing something for you in the private chat.
Okay.
And I have to do it, of course, with one hand, so I feel pitiful. It's very slow.
Uh, I thought your other hand was getting stronger.
It is gradually. I have been getting physical therapy. In fact, I have another physical therapy on Friday.
Okay.
But it hasn't. It's still. I don't have the dexterity where I can hit the right letters, so I'll be making a lot of spelling mistakes. There you go. And back to the chats. Okay. So Mr. Howell says, well, actually, I'm saying Mr. Howell, but even though it's a dream sequence, they haven't really established the name of these characters that the Howells are playing within the dream. So he says, I'll speak. She's saying, get out of here. Marianne, as the servant girl, says, get out. And Mr. Howell says, I'll speak the international language of money. Of course, always figuring a bribe will work. Mula, pesos, lira, drachma. That's the same set we had just last season where the mad scientist kidnapped them, took them to the island, and he was twitching their brains. It's just they moved it around slightly and redressed it. That's the reason why I was asking if you recognized it. That's the same staircase.
Oh, gotcha.
Same door over to the right.
Did they use it on some vampire stuff too? Like some of the vampire movies?
The movies were higher budgeted, so I'm guessing maybe not. I mean, originally, when it was first built, it may have been built for a movie. I don't know which one. I need to try to look it up. But usually, whenever they made an actual vampire movie, they would build a set and have an original set. I'm guessing it was mostly used for television shows. So now we cut and we have basically like we watched Dracula. Dracula has vampire girls, and now that's what Ginger is here. Some unwary travelers have stumbled into our midst, she says. She rushes over to wake up the count. Tap 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 tap. She says, "Shaving."
Yeah,
She does the old shaving a haircut, by the way, which is hard to show here in the slides. Go ahead, Gorilla.
yeah. I love how it's like a rickety old coffin on the outside. Then we open it up, it's all like gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really nice, purple and everything.
It looks like a pimp's coffin.
Yes, and I don't know if that coffin was a prop from something else or if they built it for this episode, but it's fairly elaborate.
Yeah. And welcome Pickles. He says, I'm late.
Better late than never. Good to see you, LDG.
There's a sheet. Hey, LDG, have you been having some of that booger sugar again?
Welcome, LDG. Hope you're doing well. And now she tells them the moon is full. Guess the weight. Get out of your crate. And we have Gilligan as a vampire. Now, see how it says Transylvanian accent? This is what I was talking about. He's basically doing a loose Bela Lugosi impersonation. Good evening. Prince of Evil, Duke of Darkness, King of Terror, and other rotten things. She says, we have guests. And he says, guests. I can hardly wait to put the bite on them. And he walks over to the balcony. I shall swoop down upon their unsuspecting necks. And he jumps over the balcony. Unfortunately, he falls. And there's a crash at the bottom. And of course, she's disappointed. And he crawls back up. I forgot to turn into a bat, he says. Of course, it is Gilligan after all.
I take it they didn't have the budget for that to do that kind of bat thing.
No, they could have done it. They could even use the same bat that they used earlier. But I think it's just part of the joke because Gilligan's always messing up with everything he does. That they're saying that he couldn't even be a vampire, right? Wait, here, I'll go get the victims, she says. But he says, but they'll see my coffin. And she walks over and she opens up and it's actually a hide-a-bed. Here, twin bats. Aha, now I'll get you the victim, she says. And he runs out the door there and crash. Of course, he goes the wrong way. We don't have an alcove, you schnook. And she brings in the house, which is the same room we had with. That's the room that the mad scientist was sitting in doing notes and everything in that episode from last season. I hope you like it, she tells the house. And he says it's absolutely barbaric. Oh, darling, we really should be more gracious to our hostess, she says. Well said, lovey, my dear. A petrified mattress. But they're so tired. Oh, somebody's at the door knocking. And she laughs. And we have more visitors at the door.
Yeah, then you got the professor and Skipper. They're doing that. How could they get away with doing the Sherlock Holmes and that on here?
Oh, good question. I was going to bring that up.
Because
Yes, they're doing a parody of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. But you notice how he says Inspector? They never say the two words Sherlock Holmes. They just call him Inspector and Mr. Holmes. So they can get away with that as long as they don't call him Sherlock Holmes. Then they get away with it. They won't be sued by the.
Because
Uh,
TNG got hit hard with copyright infringement for that.
who?
TNG, Star Trek: The Next Generation. They had a couple Sherlock Holmes episodes.
Yeah, I remember where Data wanted to be Sherlock Holmes. They got in trouble with the with doing that.
Yeah, they got hit hard with.
That's odd. You think they would have? Yeah, usually a professional show like that would get all the permissions ahead of time, unless they were just being cheap and hope to get away with it.
Yeah, they thought they probably thought they could get away with it.
Interesting. But basically, Sherlock Holmes is a character, and I'm trying to remember the name of the person that wrote Sherlock Holmes. But the person who wrote Sherlock Holmes, his what they call his estate, which is his descendants. They own the rights to Sherlock Holmes, and you have to get permission from them. There's nothing but an ugly old lady. They open the door and say, "There's nothing here, nothing but an ugly old lady inside of it." I'm afraid my associate has no manners, says Mr. Holmes. And of course, Professor's acting way over the top with a British accent. He apologizes and he calls her an ugly old lady. You see how he says Inspector Sherlock instead of saying Sherlock Holmes. And this is my associate Colonel Watney instead of Watson.
Okay. Was
Have you?
Watson a colonel or no?
Oh, I can't remember. And I used to watch those all the time when I was younger. The Strange Happening. The thing is I like the classic ones. There used to be an actor named Basil Rathbone who used to play in a lot of the originals, so they were good. And then Peter Cushing played in some of them, some Hammer movies, which were really good. But I really did not like the Robert Downey Jr. ones. So I've kind of been out of it for a while. And she's saying there's strange happenings in this house. And she says she called for help 5 years ago. What took you so long? We had a hard time getting a handsome cab. It was a take one step.
Oh, they were talking about they said they walked there, and they even across the English Channel. Yeah, especially the bloody hell travel get there. You take one step, you have to go up for air. Take one
Right.
step, go back up for air. I was like, oh, when was the English Tunnel built?
When was it built?
Yeah, the tunnel.
No. English Channel is water.
Yeah, but there's a tunnel going from Calais to whatever that part is to England. There, that's a 26-mile long tunnel.
I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. I think the English Channel is a body of water.
Yeah, and underneath it is a tunnel that goes from France to Britain that cars could drive through.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's possible. I'm not sure. I haven't looked it up. I
I'll look it up.
apologize. Maybe you can help prevent a terrible crime, she says. Oh, good God, after you, Inspector. Oh, no, please. And they argue who's going to go in first. And they both decide to, and of course, they bump into each other. Oh, I'm simply pooped, my dear. Even in the dream sequence, Mr. Owl has his teddy. Wearing a full age money belt all day is so exhausting, he says. Well, don't go to bed yet, dear. I can't help it, darling, he says. Any 5-year-old child can tell you. Anyway, of course, I have to skip. I'm not going to read
Oh,
the text because I have to skip so many frames that it really doesn't make sense. So, once
yeah,
again, everybody, I encourage you to watch this episode.
we'll just talk about what's on the thing here. But I just found out the Channel Tunnel opened in May of 1994 after 6 years of construction. And it's the longest undersea tunnel in the world.
94?
Yeah, 94. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a lot.
The
It's a lot newer than I thought it was.
Yeah, that's why I hadn't heard of it because the English channel has been around a long time.
Yeah, but I knew there was a tunnel that went from Calais to uh uh I can't remember where.
That's okay. So they hear screaming, which we're assuming is probably Mrs. Howell's character.
Oh yeah, that's Howells.
And Gilligan attacks, or so I should say the vampire attacks. I say, oh boy. And now they're saying it's a vampire, and then they're all panicking, and we get a little action scene here, and he grabs. Who's your head inspector? So he grabs the vampire. And the vampire, for some reason, is very easy to knock out.
Even though
And
that I think that's supposed to be the biggest joke because vampires are notorious for being tough and stuff.
well, yeah, they're very tough and stuff. They're like the strength of 10 men. That's why I always theorize it would be nice to see a fight between a vampire and a Vulcan because they both claim to be the strength of 10 men. And it's like, oh, I'd like to see a fight between the two. And then I wonder if a Vulcan can give a nerve pinch to a vampire. And I wonder if a vampire can hypnotize a Vulcan. I guess I'll never know. So now we have Gilligan waking up inside the cave. The skipper's waking him up, saying, you're fine, Gilligan, you need to come home. It wasn't even a vampire bat. Now as we tell him it was just a fruit bat. I warned you, Colonel Watson. He's still talking about his dream character. And he says, I am Frankenstein's monster. And he chases Gilligan out of the cave. And we have later that evening, they come back into their hut. And he says he's done talking about vampire bats and all of that stuff. Good night, little buddy.
Oh yeah, because we just found out it's a common fruit bat.
Yes. Once he tells him that, it puts his mind at rest. And of course, once again, Skipper falls. And we get our closing credits.
All right. So I'll catch up on chats while we're getting the next one ready.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
LDG said yes to the booger sugar. And he's smiling. And then Daniel says, is that a vampire? Yup. Then it says, that looks like Sherlock Holmes. It was supposed to be a parody of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes, they just call him Inspector Holmes, so they don't get sued.
Yeah. And Scurvy says, I got beer, girl. I like beer.
There you go.
A jolly good fellow. Yes, I like beer. Then.
Yeah, what's the country western song without beer, right?
Oh, that's Tom T. Hall's song, I Like Beer.
Yeah, I know, and it's a country western song. That's what I'm saying. Beer play. Yeah. My point is, beer plays a lot in country western music for people that don't know.
Okay. Then Scurvy says it's an IPA, Suzanne. I would go on with something golden personally.
What's the
Then
difference? IPA
it's
though, it's kind of dark, right?
well, it's an Indian pale ale. It has like a weird taste to it
Mm-hmm.
than versus like your golden beers.
And what do you mean like golden? Like where it's yellow,
Yeah.
like a Budweiser or Coors or
No,
something like
no,
that?
no. Coors is no like Michelob Golden Light, Land
Oh, okay.
Shark or Miller Golden Light.
Okay, gotcha. Don't buy Budweiser, guys. Remember what happened last year with that fiasco? Boycott Budweiser. And obviously Target and Gillette and all the other companies that tell us that we're not real men. Screw them. How are we doing on chat? Did you get caught up?
Yes, we're all caught up.
Thank you, sir. Now we are getting into season 3, episode 2, Gilligan versus Gilligan. This episode premiered on Monday, September 19th, 1966. And the description is as follows. A Russian agent who looks and dresses exactly like Gilligan holds Gilligan captive and questions the castaways about their activities. However, nobody believes Gilligan's story and they accuse him of causing all the mischief. That description really doesn't make much sense, but okay. We'll get there. And we got our opening, of course. And our credits. And we had the professor walking in the lagoon. And it looks like Skipper's waiting for that pineapple cream pie this time, which does sound yummy. I didn't know there was such a thing, but I love pineapple. Coconut pineapple pie, that's it. You mind if I join you? Absolutely. I've been smelling it all morning, he says. I guess we're assuming that it's being baked. So maybe they have some kind of makeshift oven. Because I'm guessing if you make a what they call a no bake pie, where you just mix it together and you just refrigerate it and you eat it, it doesn't put off a lot of scent. The only time it does that is when you bake it, and if that's the case, they have some sort of makeshift oven. I mean, who could have taken it? So the pie's missing. Marianne comes and says the pie's missing, and we have Gilligan coming eating scraps out of a pie plate. They said, Gilligan, what did you do? What did I do? What did I do? I just used my tongue and licked it clean, he said. And they said,
Uh,
you ate the pie. I didn't eat the pie. On the basis of circumstantial evidence, says the professor, he did. So they all think that Gilligan ate the pie. I'll find out where that pie is. That wasn't there. That wasn't there. Went. I think there's something wrong with the. Oh, I'll find out where that pie that wasn't there went. Is what Gilligan says. But Gilligan's trying to tell them that when he got there, the pie was already gone, and he's just eating crumbs. They don't
yeah,
believe him.
but he has a history of taking the pies and eating them
Yes,
all.
he does. Well, he has a history of loving her pies, but I don't know him stealing food from the others. And he says, "Oh, I bet some monkey's trying to make a monkey out of me," he says. Aha! And this is what he comes across. And he's looking straight at somebody who looks just like himself, eating the pie, and it looks like they have what looks like a Swiss Army knife with a gold spoon. So this is the second time on Gilligan's Island we've had the double imposter. Last season we had two Mr. Howells, and now we're getting two Gilligans, so which means they're already starting to dip back into that same well for the same ideas again, unfortunately. So there's a stream in between them, and Gilligan is looking at the other Gilligan. Our Gilligan is the one on the right, and the other Gilligan is the one on the left sitting there eating the pie. And of course, they're using split screen photography for this. And they did a good job. It looks fairly realistic.
Oh wait! I can tell where they split. I can see the line.
We're
I can see the
just
line.
right here
No, over a little bit more.
to the right or the left.
Uh, it'd be to the right, right at the edge of the trees where they split it.
Right here?
You can kind of see it offset.
Right here?
Like you don't physically see the line, but you can see the how the scenery changes a little bit and the lighting changes a little bit.
Yes, where it's like right here, right? Where it's darker on
Oh,
the left and it's lighter on the right.
yeah. But if you go over to the right a little bit, right at the edge of the tree brush, other there, the other way,
I think it's
right there.
here. I think it's here.
Oh, you might be right on that.
See, it's all dark. Right here, it's shady and dark. From here, all the way here, look at the color and the brightness. And then from here over here, look how bright it is. So what that tells us, this was shot first, then they rewinded the film, and this was shot second. Because the longer film is exposed, the darker it gets. But I'm just guessing that is. So now we cut here and got the coconut for another pie. So they're making another. The professor and Skipper are cutting coconuts here, so Marianne can make another pie for them. Just to make him sit there and watch us eat it, says the Skipper. I saw him. As Gilligan runs in, and they ask him, "What did you see, Gilligan?" That's the silliest. And Gilligan tells him he saw another hymn, and that's the silliest story they've ever heard. And Gilligan says, "Yeah, right across the stream." And he says, "Out of your own reflection, may I suggest?" So they don't. They're still upset with him. He says, "Okay, but I wouldn't understand it. What you say was your own reflection in the water." For Gilligan, repeat after me. And this where he says, "You did not see your double." But I sure did see mine. He says,
Yeah,
now we're
because he
back
said,
to the other
I said it,
Gilligan.
well, he said he didn't see Skipper's double there, but he see his
Yes.
there.
Right, because Skipper says, repeat after me. I did not see my double. And then Gilligan says, I did not see your double, but I definitely saw mine. And now we have the imposter speaking in a Russian accent into the spoon on this knife.
Is there a reason why they always chose the Russians?
Yeah, because back then that's what we were at Cold War with. And everything was always about the Russians. This was before the Bay of Pigs, Cuba, and all that stuff. And also sensibilities. Things weren't like they are now, where if you mention somebody, they get pissed off like they do now and start claiming discrimination. We didn't have any of that stuff back then. So we have stock footage of a submarine, and Gilligan supposedly, the Russian spy or agent is talking to the his superior in the submarine, and his commanding officer says that could be most unfortunate. So they're saying that he has to kidnap all the castaways. We have spared no expense in preparing you for this mission. So here's where they say that they made him up to look like Gilligan so he could spy on the other castaways. So they explain why he looks like
That
Gilligan.
that thing there's one mistake I've made. You notice how that thing makes a high pitched whistle when he opens it, but it doesn't always do that.
Feedback, right? He does get a feedback sometimes. You know what causes that, right?
Not being too close.
Microphone too close to the speaker. So when you have the microphone too close to wherever the sound is coming out, you get feedback.
Oh,
Which is
gotcha.
possible. Which is possible because if he's talking into the spoon, which is supposedly a microphone, that thing has to have a built-in speaker so that he can hear his boss, which means you might get feedback because they're so close to each other. And here's where he said they even gave him plastic surgery to make him look like Gilligan. In 48 hours, Commandant, I shall find out who they are, he says. So they don't know who the castaways are. They're thinking that they're spying there on the island, which we know is not true. And what experiment they are doing on this forsaken island is what they're up. They want to find out. He says you only have 48 hours, and he heads off. Now we have Ginger doing laundry.
Well, that's one of those I don't understand why they give him such a short time span to do his mission when they're trying to collect information.
Well, maybe they figure the less time, then the less chance of him getting caught.
Mm.
And we have the Russian Gilligan here, and he's toying around with that device, and he accidentally uses the laser beam to cut Ginger's laundry line, and the laundry falls to the ground. And we have the other Gilligan come in, and he even sees all the laundry fell on the ground, he says, and he picks it up. And she says, "Oh, Gilligan." She thinks Gilligan, of course, knocked it over. And she says, "I know you did it, and don't give me any excuses." And he says, "No, I was just walking along, minding my own business." Oh, well, there's only one bright spot. What's that? And of course, she still doesn't believe him. And now we have the Russian spy. That's the radio squeal that Gorilla was talking about, the feedback noise. I will try imitation to see if worked. So he's using like a broken English here. And he runs into Mrs. Howe. And he asks her, "Do I look like Gilligan?" She says, "You look the way you always do, a bit nasal." And I sound like Gilligan? And she says, "Yes." Oh, they're not only now she's talking about the laundry. Our laundry is they're not only touching the ground, but they're touching everyone else's clothes. Go on, pick them up right away, she says. He's very easy to imitate, this Gilligan. No, he says over the transceiver, and he's receiving orders. And now Mr. Gilligan's upset because they all went fishing without him. He wanted to go, but they wouldn't let him because they're still mad about the pie. And they come back from fishing. "Hi, guys. How was the fishing?" says Gilligan. And they're still talking about the pie. The very end just baked.
I wonder what they use for bait because I doubt there's any worms on the island.
We catch small fish. And you know how bait is. You can use things that are sparkly or reflective,
Oh, so they're using Mrs. Howell's jewelry. Yeah,
or any kind of pieces of metal. And considering that they were on the minnow, they might have fishing material. Israel Gilligan keeps telling him that it's somebody that looked like him, and they don't believe him. Mr. Howe says that boy really needs help. And then Gilligan's telling him more about the guy, he says, and he says the guy had also had a shiny gold pocket knife. Mr. Howell is not going to follow them. Of course, he wants to go back to his hut. "See you later, dear boy." So Gilligan is going to attempt to try to prove to them that there's another Gilligan. Well, he says, "No, I just remembered. I think, well, why don't we separate? They're going to try to see if they can find the other Gilligan." And then Gilligan finds this backpack. And then he starts yelling it for the skipper, "Skipper, professor." Wonder who he is and where he went. Says, and then we kind of missed it here, but the Russian agent sneaks up behind him and hits him on the head and knocks him out.
I wonder if that was the stunt double, so they didn't have to do the split screen or not.
Well, he was off screen when we show you. Like right here, this is the actor, Bob Denver, but we don't see the actual hand of the actor. See? So that way they don't have to use it. Could be anybody with their hand in it, just as long as they're wearing the same color shirt. And then it cuts, the camera actually cuts. Watch. There. See how it cuts? Now we have
Yeah.
Bob Denver again. Now we have Bob Denver. And then when he walks over, whoever that is playing Gilligan has their face covered, so you can't tell who it is. So he basically switched places with them.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing they did with Mr. Howell in season 2. And now, excuse me, they're saying, "Well, where's Gilligan?" Well, we know we heard him yelling here someplace. And Skipper says, "Well, he's up ahead. There's somewhere." Well, perhaps he's made contact with another Gilligan. Other Gilligan. Now we get another split screen. And he's telling him in my country, there we go. He's basically telling him that he's going to keep him tied up, and he's going to, of course, he's a bad guy. He's got to tell him what he's doing and what's going on there and what's his mission. And they're talking about solving the mystery on the other Gilligan. And here now they come across the Russian Gilligan, and he says, "I was just walking along and I tripped over a palm throng," so he didn't really mean to yell out. And then, but they're establishing here that even the Russian spy is not very bright because he actually mentions the knapsack on the ground, which catches their attention, and they're saying, "Funny knapsack." And he says, "Oh, I didn't mean that. That's why I didn't tell you, Commandant. I mean Skipper." Now he pulls out his transmitter and he's calling his boss again, Operation 2754. It's in perfect order as usual. He's telling him everything's going great. I repeat, my superiors are growing impatient. I do not think phase 4 will be necessary. So his boss is basically yelling at him. And he hears
Yeah,
Skipper calling for him. So he says, "Be right there. Go ahead, Gorilla."
yeah. I would not want to be in the work for the damn Russians because they get too impatient, and the impatient ends up with a bullet in the back of the head.
Yeah, you never know. That is. Huh. What's funny is this is when Russia used to be communism, which is is what our country is becoming now. So yeah, that's exactly how our country is now. So we have our Russian spy posing as Gilligan, whittling a piece of wood, and Skipper says, "You're whittling in my water." And of course, the reason why he's doing that is because he's got that golden knife, um, Swiss Army knife in his hand, the one that Gilligan had told him about. But Skipper doesn't notice. But just like Gilligan, he keeps getting in Skipper's way. "Gilligan, would you mind pulling away further?" And Gilligan is holding that microphone up so that his boss can hear what's going on. And he says, "Good night." And now he keeps asking Skipper, "Why are we here?" And Skipper's getting perturbed and saying, "What do you mean? Why are we here? Why do you keep asking me that?" And while that's happening, our Gilligan, the real Gilligan, the hero, wakes up, unties himself, and takes off the gag. Oh no, that's right. Gilligan, Skipper throws the spy out of the hut, and that was the evil Gilligan on the ground. And he stands up and he's calling his commander, and we get the feedback sound again.
Yeah,
I don't know.
nobody here.
Yes. And he says it's not going so good. I have another idea. Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
work in
claims to
other
be an
area.
expertise in an area he
Yeah,
claims to be expertise in, but they couldn't flat out say it because of cable television.
that is true. Oh well, it's normal for Gilligan to act strange, says Ginger. Maybe he's having growing pains. That's true. Sure, it's just normal, healthy growing pains. Notice how their hut is different than it was in the last episode. So you could tell that when to shoot these scenes, they're basically it's one location, and they're just moving the walls around randomly for each episode. So it's not like they have established four different huts or whatever it is. They actually only have one, and depending on what scene they're shooting, they just move the walls around.
Okay,
We have
and this is
Ginger,
where,
and he
and this is where Ginger gets some surprise kissing. We'll just put it that way.
right because obviously she's not used to this at all because usually Gilligan's the shy one, but now suddenly he's advancing on her, and she's having to push him off. Oh, I've adored you ever since the first. Bear with me a moment. I gotta find out who's messaging me on my phone. Just a second. Sorry, guys. And she's pushing him off, and she's defending herself. and then we'll talk. Or we can talk first and then mwah. And she runs away. No, don't go, he says. Last time I used romance, it worked good, he said. Now Americans thinking money.
Yeah, because he was in Paris, not America. Yeah, he thinks all countries are the same outside of Russia.
And here we have, he walks in on the house and they're playing, I think it's checkers or chess. That's exactly what it should be. I've been thinking about us here on the island. And he's milking them for answers, unfortunately. I forgot why they're there.
Yeah, he makes a mistake of accusing Mr. Howell of cheating.
Yes, exactly. Even Mrs. Howell's confused. Why are you asking? What are we doing here?
Like, I don't understand what, or like, I didn't catch how Mr. Howell cheated.
By the way, it's Mr. Howell, so he probably did cheat, but you don't want to call him on it because that's all he does. Cheat does is cheat, so he can make sure that he wins. Oh, come on! I'll have you know, I'm far too wealthy. Mrs. Howell, we must have a long talk. And of course, that doesn't go well, so he goes outside and calls his boss once again, and we get the radio feedback. And now they're all telling the professor what's going on. He thinks I'm madly in love with him, she says. God, what is going on with my phone? These people keep messaging me, and it won't let me reply. I don't know what.
Oh, they
I'm
having
getting
trouble.
a
They're
real
just having that trouble
psychological
replying.
problem. It's a really crappy phone and it's slow as hell.
Oh.
But I have a friend messaging me saying, "Can I call you right now?" And I'm trying to answer back, telling them later. And it won't let me respond. I don't know why.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a possibility that Gilligan may free himself. There we go. And that's where Gilligan wakes up, frees himself. That's just as they say. Hey, Ginger, Ginger, Ginger. So he's running in. Now, they don't believe about the imposter. They just think that Gilligan's hallucinating. So what they're doing is they're just saying, yeah, yeah, right, Gilligan. Yeah, they're just humoring him. And now he's telling him that, there's somebody else. And she says, oh, you can bump into me anytime you like. I would love to have Marianne say that to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And there we go. I have Mrs. Hal. Oh, you poor boy. Oh, Skipper, am I glad to see you? Well, now that that's all over, let's go fishing, says the skipper. And he leaves. No, Skipper, we have to, but I was. And he's trying to tell him about being hit in the head by the agent, but nobody's listening. And then Gilligan goes into the hut, and that's when the agent's in there, and he sees Gilligan. And Gilligan hides because he sees the agent going in there, and he hides behind this mirror. Come on, phone. Okay, maybe if I delete this and this. All right. And now we have the imposter. You know how they do this, right? Let's see here. So now we have the phone, or we have Gilligan with there, and he goes in, and just as he does that, Gilligan runs in. You know how they do that, right? That's the same actor. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Because basically he just runs around to the front door. So he runs around the set because that's not an actually enclosed closet. He just runs around that fake wall over to the door and then runs in. I'll probably get a copyright strike for that because it was like 3 seconds. And then that's the real Gilligan saying, all right, I know you're in here. And he's looking for the imposter. And as he's doing that, the imposter comes out of the closet and sees him standing there. But it's too late to close the door.
Wait, they got a closet? I thought that was a mirror at
Well,
first.
it's a closet with a mirror on the door. And here's where he's trying to sneak out of the closet, but Gilligan catches him, so he stands up straight. And this is an old gag. So Gilligan sees the other Gilligan, and he starts to adjust himself, thinking he's looking at a mirror. And then the other Gilligan does the same thing as him. And this is obviously Bob Denver that we're looking at on the other side of that frame, but it's an actor that we see the back of right here, closer to the camera. And they're basically mimicking each other's moves. I remember when I took drama in high school, they had us do this routine. It
Oh
originated
yeah.
with Harp. Go ahead.
How far back does this trope go? Because I've seen this like hundreds of times.
Correct. It was on I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy, a whole bunch of shows. Of course,
Family Guy's done it. I'm pretty
my
sure
throat.
I've seen it in lots of movies.
It originated with Harpo Marx of the Marx Brothers. It was his original uh, stunt, and it's been mimicked many, many, many times. But yeah, the Marx Brothers are the ones that originated it.
Okay.
See, you could see obviously looks older. Obviously looks older. That's all I can think about watching these first two episodes of season 3. He just looks older. It's just I don't know. It's almost like the spark is gone. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but it's like, and we know it's Gillian. I know it's Bob Denver, the same actor, but the spark is gone. I don't know why. It's hard to describe. And here's where he catches him because one sneezes and the other one doesn't. And the radio noise comes out of the radio again, the feedback noise. Return to the ship. We leave immediately. And he goes running. Stop him, stop him. And Gilligan goes after him and gets his arms caught in the door, though, unfortunately. And he's
Yeah.
chasing him, and the guy's heading towards the lagoon. And they're running around. Russian music plays, yeah, right.
Yeah.
And we have
Nobody
this.
knows the boat sitting there.
Well, he may have hit it in the bushes, they didn't show. Restarts the engine.
That's a lot of smoke coming out of that engine.
2-stroke. Aha, this simple looking knife, my friend, is the end of you, says the agent. Look, just stay here, says Gilligan. Basically, he's telling him, stay here so I can show my friends.
Oh yeah, and he just did it in like a whiny, annoyed voice. Like, I'm done chasing you. I don't want to put up with this. Just stay here, so I can go tell the others.
Exactly. But the guys say, no, no, I'll destroy you with this. Do you have anything to say before I kill you? And Gilligan says, yeah, your boat just sailed. So it took off without him.
They dropped the pocket knife. Well, they forgot to mention he claims they had over 200 functions.
Right, we're talking about the pocket knife, right? They claim within the episode it has over 200 functions, like a laser, transmitter, and all this other kind of stuff.
Which I kind of called BS on because the size of equipment back then, there's no way it all fit into one small pocket knife.
It is a bit of an exaggeration.
Like the transmitter, I can believe, but that's about it. Disguised as a pocket knife. Because I've actually seen some really cool Russian inventions. Like they actually had a listening device inside the U.S.
I'll be
consulate
right
in
back.
Moscow. There, it was there for 7 years, and they never found it through bug sweeps and all that. I don't know if you ever heard that story. I'll tell it when you get back up. I'll catch up here on chat if it doesn't jump on me. It keeps jumping on me. Oh, too far, too far. Okay, Suzanne says we have we have Labatt 50 Ale years ago. It's like an IPA. Then Scurvy says IPA is more along the lines of being strong flavored. On IPA can be yellow or gold. It's quite hoppy. Then Scurvy here says I got a problem on my computer here. It is named Indian Ale Pale because it was brewed to survive the trip from Britain to India. Oh, cool! I did not know that. I just thought the Indians made it there. And Suzanne says, "Scurvy, Scurvy, bringing the education to it. He is absolutely 100% correct." Oh, sorry, Gab. Night, I guess. Have a good night. That was 20 minutes ago. And Scurvy here says, so IPA doesn't go bad quickly. If it has alcohol in it, it lasts forever. Like that's the reason why we have like 20-year-old scotches and stuff like that. It's because it doesn't go bad. And Suzanne says, "Okay, fellas, I gotta get this boy showered before bed. Have
All right,
also
have a great
have a
night,
good night,
Suzanne.
Suzanne."
Take care.
No, but did you hear about that listening device that the Soviets had inside the consulate for like 7 years before it finally got discovered?
Oh God, I'm not surprised. Which one? Which
The
consulate?
one in Russia. It was actually pretty brilliant.
Wait, so
See,
you're talking the American consulate in Russia, right?
yes,
Okay, go ahead.
the Soviets had it in there. There's like a thing was on a wire, so it did not produce any like your normal electronic bugs or anything. But whenever
Yeah.
anybody spoke, that wire vibrated at a certain frequency, and down the road was a van that had their radio tuned to that frequency. So whenever anybody spoke, they could hear it because of that wire just vibrating to the voices of the people talking, but it did not put off any electricity. So when they swept for bugs, it did not pick it up.
Well, that's interesting.
Oh yeah, it was brilliant there. Oh shoot, my computer's freezing up here, and we got some chats here.
Oh no,
It's not like freezing up, but it's just going real slow.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And LDG says, "Mirror Universe Gilligan," and Scurvy here says, "Mirror Universe, kill him with a mustache, make him have a slightly evil grin." Then, oh hey PvP, welcome.
Hello, BBP. Good to see you.
And Scurvy says, "We've been expecting you." Then and PvP says, "Sorry guys, got a little behind at work and put an hour
No,
of unpaid overtime to get it done." Oh, that
no
sucks.
problem.
Oh, that sucks.
Sorry to hear that.
Uh, let's see. And welcome the man of many words, Cody guy.
Hello, Cody. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well, sir.
Okay, but
Are you all caught up?
uh, yeah, but I don't. Oh, not quite. But I don't know why my computer's acting so slow, clicking and moving this stuff. Just let's finish out the episode, then we'll get to chats.
Sounds good. So here we have where the Russian spy is on the boat leaving, and Gilligan chasing after him. Oh, I'm on your side. Wait, wait. He basically he wants to show the castaways, there's an evil Gilligan, and he's saying, "Don't leave, don't leave. I want you, I want to show my friends that you're here." But it's too late. The other guy's already leaving, and that's Gilligan going, and that's the bad Gilligan going after his boat, which took off without him.
Then the professor finds the well, they come in here.
Well, right, this is where, once again, Skipper's telling and they tell me that there is no imposter, and nobody had a knife, right? So he's trying to convince Gilligan, and nobody had a death ray. And he still thinks a lot, Skipper. This knife, and that's where the professor walks in, and he says, "I found this over on the lagoon on the beach." And he says, "This knife could once do perhaps two different things." And he walks out, tape recorder, laser beam, naming off all the things that Gilligan was saying. Haha, good night, Professor. Oh. And we get our closing credits. There we go. And Gerald Fried, of course, the guy who did the excellent music. There we go. We're pretty much done with the episode. All right. There, Gorilla.
Yeah,
Which episode did you prefer the best?
I don't know. Gilligan's Island. They're like the Dracula one was interesting. All that we've always seen it a bunch, But I kind of wish that some scenes were extended and other ones were taken out. Then you got the Gilligan versus Gilligan, and I've seen that trope so many times. It may have been newer around this time, but it's been overused way too much to the point when you're watching this on reruns, like, oh, another clone episode. All right.
Yeah, another right, another identical bad guy episode again. And like I said, we just saw that in season 2, so nothing new there. So which one do you like? The first one, the bat, a bit bat.
Yeah, I guess.
I would say the same thing. I think I like the first one too. I like them both. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Gilligan's Island, but I do like the dream sequences, and I thought that was kind of funny to see all the actors out of their game, and Skipper playing Mr. Watson, Dr. Watson, and the Professor playing Sherlock Holmes was a nice touch. So yeah, I would say I prefer the first episode too. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did, consider hitting the like button. And if you haven't done so, vote in the chat. There's a poll out there, and I'll be ending that poll and sharing the results with everybody here on the stream.
All right.
But I
Oh, shit.
appreciate you guys being here and participating with us.
All right. PvP says Mirror Mirror Universe, pucker up, baby. And look out the window this afternoon, and it looks like we got around a foot of snow. Oh, that all? PvP, are you safe and functioning fine in it? The
Yeah,
PvP.
hopefully.
Yes, Scurvy. I went last night and stocked up on stuff as I knew the forecast was for a lot of snow.
Good idea.
Just hope to plow the road. So I wanted to get to my bank to. Oh, you don't have direct deposit? That really sucks. And he says you actually pay way more for old booze. Really old bottles can go for thousands. Yeah. Uh, come on. I'd have to be darn rich to pay $10,000 for a bottle of whiskey. I haven't heard of the $10,000 bottle of whiskey, but I heard of some Louis the 14th that went for that sells for like $4,500 a bottle. Um, Scurvy says PvP. Can can you get Homer Simpson's Mr. Plow to come help?
Homer Simpson's what? I'm sorry.
Mr. Plow from the plowing episode.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
Oh, yeah, and Scurvy says, manual check your company don't have direct deposit. Yeah, that's what I said. And it just jumped on me. If you want to read the thing there.
I voted for the bat. It's the one I remember. It says PvP. Sorry, I got bumped out of StreamYards for a minute and I came back and now it's going kind of wacky. I think I missed some of the chats. I apologize for that, guys. But here I have the results of the poll. Which episode did you enjoy the most? And it looks like we had 9 votes. 88% said Gilligan versus Gilligan, and 11% said Up at Bat. So it looks like most of the people prefer the second one. Very cool.
All right. And this thing's and PvP says LOL no city has to send out the plows. Unfortunately, being on a side street can take a few days. My street used to be the first one plowed when the mayor lived just up the road from me.
Oh, what a surprise!
Now that we got a new mayor, we don't get plowed first anymore. But the guy who plows the roads, it lives right across the street from me.
Wait. So he does everything, all the other streets first, and then comes back and does yours?
I don't know where we are on the line, but I know we're not first at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore.
Well, sorry to hear that. And I want to thank everybody for voting in the chat. I appreciate you guys. I don't know why, but Gorilla and I are both having trouble with our computers. And I don't know what. I think I'm going to reboot mine to see if it'll help. But yeah, it was good to see everybody in the chat and good to say hello. Gorilla, is there anything you'd like to share about your channel before we close it up for the night?
Well, I got a few more chats here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm trying to get to them here. He does,
if you can't.
But this is a personal paper check that I got as a Christmas gift. Scurvy here says, "Oh, okay, PvP Christmas bonus." And PvP voted for the bat. It's one I remember.
Gotcha.
And Scurvy says 10K. Oh. 10K, I'd rather stock up on my favorite beers and wines with that. My first act as mayor will be to make sure my block is first to be plowed during snowstorms.
And my opponent's street would be last, of course.
Yeah, we're all cut up.
Thank you, sir. Now tell us about your channel.
All right, so tomorrow night I got a PvP said he'd be there. If anybody else wants to join the panel, I'm going to try to keep it to 5 people, though. But we got a very special cringe stock. It's going to be about half an hour, but I got something that... And the reason we do cringe stock is to make fun of the bad stuff there. There's not... if I wanted to make you really cringe and hurt yourself, I'd make you watch The View, but I'm not... It's not that. I find stuff that we can sit there and make fun of, and I found something perfect to make fun of. So
now, is this a watch party?
Yes.
Okay, hopefully Cosme will hold up tomorrow.
Yeah. Then on Friday we are reviewing the Walton's episode, The Fulfillment. Saturday we will be reviewing The Return to the Lost World. Then Sunday we are watching Mad Max 3. Then looping around for Justified on Wednesday.
Very cool. Now, are you doing The Lost World and The Return to the Lost World?
What?
Are you doing the first movie first and then the sequel, or just the sequel?
I just seen it as Return to the Lost World, so.
Oh, okay. All right. That's great. Thank you, Gorilla. Yeah. I really appreciate you helping me out tonight and helping me with the chat.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
PvP, 8:30 Central Standard Time, so that'd be 6:30 your time.
Okay, so on my channel Saturday, we should have, hopefully if everything works out well, we'll have Rumblings from the Lab. Monday, we'll be back with another episode of The Amazing Lost in Space. And then I'll be posting here probably tomorrow night what movie we're going to be covering for our Tuesday horror sci-fi stream. And then we'll be back Wednesday of next week with 2 more episodes of Gilligan's Island. And yeah, it's been fun. And I can't wait to resume. And like I said, it's really good to see all you guys in the chat. I hope you're all doing well and staying warm. And thanks again, Gorilla, for helping me out tonight. I really appreciate it. It looks like we got this wrapped up pretty quick tonight. That's always a good thing. Hopefully you can get to bed early tonight. If Gorilla's still there, that is.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. All right. So with that, everybody, stay warm. Take care of yourself. If you work tomorrow, drive safe. If you got I know there's ice and snow on the roads out there for a lot of people. I love you guys, and I will see you all soon. Bye bye.